Y'all, I've tried to record part 6 like 5 freaking times and it keeps deleting and I'm so irritating. Like, somebody get this devil up off me. Whoever the lady is, get it off me, okay? Because something don't want this story out, but I'm going to get it out. So back to part 5, what the Percocets were. The Percocets was fent. They were fetty. So now we are in an attempted murder situation. He gave me a medication, made it out to be something else, and it was actually something laced with something extremely deadly. If you live in America, you know that there is a fent crisis and that a lot of people die from that same situation. And yeah, this person could have literally murdered me. I didn't know that the perks were fetty until getting to Korea. So that will come up later, but yeah, had no idea. So in my lives, everyone's been asking me about the family. What is the family saying? Where's the family? The rest of my part 6 deleted once again. This is the 3rd time making this specific video. So where's the family? The only blood family member that I know of his is his sister. He is not in contact with any of his other blood relatives. From what I know, from what he has told me, that's also a red flag. So when I first met his sister, I met his sister very early on in the relationship. Very, 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 very early on. It was a red flag to me that he was so eager to want me to meet his sister. He was very eager for me to meet her and very eager for her to come to my home. He was not living in my home at this time, but he wanted to have dinner with her at my home. And at the time that she was visiting DC, I was kind of like confused because I'm like, why isn't she just staying at your house? Like, why is she getting a hotel? Why isn't she just staying at your home? Like, what's up? What's going on, you know? And so, you know, she comes over, whatever. Anyway, that eagerness, I think, came from him. He was using me to look like a better person in front of his sister. Like, oh, see what I have access to, see the person I'm with. Like, I was pretty much used to make the narcissist look better to the outside world. That was my role. So, yeah, met her that time. It wasn't a weird interaction, but it was weird for me to have met her that early on. So fast forward to Christmas time. We were supposed to go to his sister's house for Christmas, who lives in another state. And he's like, yeah, we'll just stay with her or whatever, you know, like in the beginning, he's like, yeah, they'll take care of everything or whatever. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So closer to Christmas, he ends up telling me, yeah, my sister does not want us staying at her house. We'll need to get a hotel. And also they want us to go in half on the expenses for Christmas, like the food and everything else, which isn't abnormal or anything. But by this time, by Christmas time, he had already lost his job at the mayor's office. So I'm like, who's paying for this? Like, you expect me to pay for flights, hotel, and food at your sister's house? Absolutely not. Like, it's not happening. And so I was like, you can go to Christmas, but I'm not going over there for Christmas. Also, like, I'm like, at this point, I'm kind of like, is it me? Like, why doesn't you're her brother. Why doesn't she want you to stay at her house? Like, what's going on? And he's kind of making it seem like it's a me thing. So I'm like, well, I'm not going over there. Like, I'm not going there. So fast forward, we didn't go to Christmas. Fast forward to the time that we actually do go to her house. Now, this is where there are a lot of Easter eggs and a lot of very glaring red flags. As if the other red flags were not already glaring, these are like staring me dead in my face. We're at his sister's house. One day we take his sister's car to go to the grocery store. I'm the type of person, if I stay at your house, I'm going to contribute something. I'm going to go get something. Groceries, liquor, whatever the case may be, I'm going to get something to put in your house. I don't like to just stay at people's houses and not put something in there, you know? And so we take his sister's car to go to the grocery store. We get back later on. We use the same car to go to dinner. So it's me, him, his sister, and his sister's fiance. And we're all piling in her car, her 2-door car, to go to dinner. If you know 2-door cars, the front seat, you have to lift the lever, slide the seat up, and then once everyone gets in the back, you slide the seat back into place, right? So she and I, we get in the back, and the seat is no longer locking back into place, the front seat. He's the one that was handling the front seat. So he and his sister get in an argument because she's kind of like in sister mode, like, you're always messing up something. In the midst of their argument, he's like, well, T is me. T was in this front seat earlier, and it's probably her who broke the seat. The seat was fine before we just got in the car. Like, how was it? Like, I'm sorry, how did I just get in the middle of this, you know? And so I'm just like, what? Like, how I get in this? How did I get in this? So he's going on to say, we'll pay for it, we'll pay for it, we'll pay for it. He doesn't have a job. Who's paying for it? Like, not I, you know? And so later, I'm like, what was that? What was that? And he goes on to say, I know it wasn't you. I know that you didn't break the seat, but I just didn't want her mad at me, and I knew she wouldn't have been mad at you. I knew she wouldn't argue with you, but she would argue with me, and I just didn't want her mad at me. And I'm utterly confused because I'm sorry. What? You just tried to blame something on me? Not only, like, am I here visiting your family because you wanted to come visit them, but now you're kind of trying to build a wedge between me and your family. And that is what narcissists do. They make the people closest to them not like the other, like they triangulate you, and they make you not like the people around them. Like, it's the weirdest freaking thing. Okay, so number 2. One day I'm coming up into like our guest room, and I come in the room, and he has thrown up on the guest bathroom floor. There are white bathroom rugs in the guest bathroom floor. He throws up on them. And I'm like, what happened? This is in the middle of the day. This is the next day. This is in the dead middle of the day. No one's hungover. No one drunk that much the night before. So I'm confused as to where the throw up even came from. But obviously we know now that it was probably drugs. So he's like, I'm like, just go, put the rugs in the washing machine. He's like, no. I can't do that. I can't do that. What do you mean you can't put the drugs in the washing machine? I don't know. Me and my brother maybe we're a different breed. I'm like, because I can use whatever I need to use in my brother's house and we're fine. Hell, me and my brother walk out of each other's houses with each other's stuff. Like, I don't ever have to ask to use the wash machine. So I'm like, just put the rugs in the wash machine. Just wash them. Like, it's not a big deal. He's like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. Like, literally freaking out because he threw up on these rugs. And so he's like, I'm going to just tell her you did it. So I walk my behind downstairs, speed walk down the steps to go tell his sister that he threw up on her rugs. And her response was, I love my brother, but he is so problematic. That should have been a red flag. I mean, all of it should have been a red flag. Should have been a red flag. Like, should have been a red flag. And I'm just like, why would you try to blame me? Like, again, trying to make me look bad in the eyes of his sister. Like, not that I was working overtime to look good, but like, you're working overtime to make me look bad, like to make it look like I'm messing up her things and messing up her house when you're the one breaking up stuff and throwing up on people's floors. Like, why couldn't you make it to the toilet? So then one day he and I are watching TV and talking to his sister's fiance. We're all hanging out. His sister has taken a nap and we're all hanging out. Me and his sister's fiance are like kind of like laughing, joking about certain things that probably happened throughout the day. I can't really remember the conversation or anything like that. So the menace gets up. He's upset, visibly upset. And he starts walking out of the room. So obviously at this point now I have to leave with him because out of respect, I'm not going to be up here with this woman's fiance by myself, you know?
Spoil me, spoil me, spoil me. Everything wants to spoil me. It comes times 11, so lucky like 7, receiving my blessings enjoyably. I'm open to it and I'm ready. My mind and my energy steady. Receiving the flood of the blessings that come in like water, the flow is so heavy. Spoil me, spoil me, spoil me. Everything wants to spoil me. It comes times 11, so lucky like 7, receiving my blessings enjoyably. I'm open to it and I'm ready. My mind and my energy steady. Receiving the flood of the blessings that come in like water, the flow is so heavy. Spoil me, spoil me, spoil me. Everything wants to spoil me. It comes times 11, so lucky like 7.
All right, so he's visibly upset. He's walking towards the door. I'm now leaving the room behind him because out of respect, I'm not going to be in this room with this woman's husband, well, fiance, by myself, right? So we're leaving the room, both of us together. And he looks at me and he's like, yeah, because you want to have sex with my sister's fiance. I'm sorry, repeat that? What was that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He doesn't say anything. We go downstairs and I go off. We are in this house and we are in this guest room and I am going off. And I was like, you need to walk your behind back upstairs and you need to apologize to your sister's fiance. Now. He leaves the room, goes upstairs, comes back and is like, yeah, he didn't even hear me. Like, you're tripping. Like, he didn't even hear me. Y'all, when I tell y'all there's no way that man did not hear him, there's no way that man did not hear him. And I'm literally going off. And I'm like, you are that jealous and that insecure that you would literally put something like that in the atmosphere of your sister's home? Like, when I tell y'all he was working overtime to make it very uncomfortable for me to be in this house. Like, why would you even do that? So I'm like, all right, cool. So to take it back to the last part or whatever, the Christmas situation, because I had to redo that story so many times, I ended up missing like vital points of that story. So Christmas, after I made the decision that I was not going to Christmas, he came to me after Christmas and was like, yeah, my sister is pissed at us that we are not going, that we did not make it to Christmas. She is so upset. And I'm like, we didn't make it to Christmas because of you. Like, I don't give a shit who she's mad at, but we didn't make it to Christmas because of you. So one of the things that he would do throughout our relationship was try to use his sister's status to manipulate me. There was a lot of forms of manipulation that he would try to do. A lot of them did not work. And this is one of the ones that did not work because I'm quite literally like, I literally don't give a shit what your sister thinks. I'm confused. And so there were multiple times throughout the relationship, yeah, my sister's not going to like you because of this. Yeah, my sister is pissed at you right now. Yeah, my sister's not. She's just not. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Like, I'm so confused. So I don't know if that worked with other people, like his, other women that wanted to be with him, wanted to be close with his sister. I don't care. I was just kind of like, I'm sorry. What? So that was one of the things that he would do for manipulation. Also, I think that this situation with his sister, that situation at his sister's house was kind of when the smear campaign started against me with his family. Mind you, me and his family got along from what I could see on my end, unless I was missing social cues. Me and his family got along well. Like his sister's fiance, we all got along well, unless I missed social cues. He did not like that. He could not stand that. And during that time, that weekend that we were at their house, he worked overtime to try to dismantle a friendship and a relationship that we were building. Also, I saw a comment that was like, he was using you to get the money from the inheritance. Yes. 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 He was using me, he was using my status, and he was using who I was to present to his sister as this clean individual. Like, he's now clean, he's now off drugs, and he can get the inheritance. And I'm gonna talk about that in maybe part 9. But right now, we're going to roll into the grape and the sexual assault. Okay, so that's going to be part 8. All right, part 8. I told y'all in the previous video that part 8 was about SA. This is a hard story to tell. I tried to record the story multiple times. The waterworks started to flow, so now I'm trying to re-record it again without any waterworks and just get through it. It is important to know about this part of the story that I could not remember any of the events that I am going to tell you. I dealt with dissociative amnesia and could not remember any of this stuff until I got to Korea, until I started reporting this man to the police station. And I distinctly remember sitting down at the police station and asking the policeman for a break because a flood of memories just came in that I did not have before. They looked at me and they said, "We understand. This always happens to people who are dealing with a lot of trauma." February 14th, 2023, Valentine's Day. I come in from work. My apartment building has decorated the lobby. It's Valentine's Day. They have champagne, they have hors d'oeuvres, chocolate covered strawberries, all the whole 9. We grab a glass of champagne. We go upstairs. I open my little gifts. My gifts include a box of Cutwater. By this time, some people are asking, like, what, like, was I just taking care of him? From what I know, he was living off of his inheritance. He had gotten some of his inheritance money from his sister. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But that's what I know. So we drink a glass of champagne. We take a nap, get up. And he has already opened a can of Cutwater for me. And it's like, come on, like, let's start drinking. So we drink Cutwater, we leave out, we go to this play. We get a drink from this play. And I think I may have had a couple of drinks from this play, but not enough to be drunk. The whole time I kept saying, how am I this drunk? How am I this drunk? I don't understand how I'm this drunk. This is like not me. And he's like, you probably, because you mix liquor, like the Cutwater was tequila and then you had something else at the play or whatever, probably because you mixed. Yeah, I know how I am when I mix. That wasn't it. That wasn't it. So we get back to the house. He wanted to go out and do more stuff. I was like, absolutely not. I do not feel myself. I need to go home. We get back to the house. He looks at me and he goes, "Are we going to have sex tonight?" I jokingly respond, "Ha ha ha, we'll see." He looks at me and his face structure is not the same. His eyes have no color. They're black. And he goes, "I'm surprised I haven't forced you yet. I forced all my women." I look at him and I say, "You mean grape?" And he says, "It's not grape if you're with someone. That'll be extremely hard to prove." He proceeds to pin me down to the bed, pins my arms down, pins my legs down and is moving forward and forcing himself on me. I am now fighting him off of me. As you can see by now, I have been drugged. So I do not have any like body strength to fight like I usually could. I proceed to bite him on his neck and I think like on his shoulder up here to get him off of me. That was the only form of defense that I had at this point. The next flash of memory I have is my body and head being slammed against the wall and me being choked unconscious. The next flash of memory that I have is him FaceTiming my mother and telling my mother that I just randomly attacked him. I am so drunk and I randomly attacked him out of nowhere for absolutely no reason. He is now on the phone manipulating my mother into a storyline so that I will not be able to speak my truth to her, I guess. The next flash of memory I have is me putting him out of my home, trying to get him out. He is refusing to leave. Those memories may not be in chronological order. They are flashes of memories that I have from that night. The next day, I wake up and I'm instantly looking over at him and I'm like, what happened last night? He has this complete look of guilt on his face that immediately starts to go away when he realizes that I truly cannot remember what happened. He then starts to once again create the narrative that I randomly attacked him out of nowhere. I then start getting flashes of memories in my brain, taking me back to a time when I was in elementary school and a high schooler, I believe he was a middle schooler or a high schooler, I don't know, in elementary school tried to essay me. My brain is going back to that time, a time that I haven't thought about in years. I wake up while I'm getting up and I now realize that my hoo-ha is in a lot of pain. I look at my body and I have bruises all down my legs and I have a handprint bruise on my arm. And now I'm starting to ask, did we have intercourse the prior night? He's like, no, absolutely not. You were so drunk. I would never touch you like that. I'd never touch you like that. Like, blah, blah, blah. You were just so drunk and out of it. For the next week, I am in bed. I cannot get up out of bed. My body did not want to function. My brain did not want to function. And I could not figure out what was going on. I could not put anything together because I had no memories of anything to put together. The only thing that I had was a flashback of something that happened to me in elementary school. I hear him on the phone with his sister, and he calls his sister and he's like, yeah, T's been just sleeping for the last couple of days. She mixed liquor on Valentine's Day and just got so drunk and like she just can't get up out of bed. Creating another narrative. So from what I know now, his statement about forcing all of his women is a lot. There's a lot of truth to that. I have spoken to other people who have confirmed that SA or grape has happened to them at the hands of him. In coming to terms with what happened to me that night took a very long time. This is why women don't report. Sometimes we really don't know. We don't remember. It comes back later. So be easy with people who are dealing with SA and who didn't report, because it's really not that easy when you go through something that traumatic. Part 9. Let's take a moment to clear up some gaps that y'all just can't fathom or get together in your brains. I'm not in prison. I have not been convicted of anything. And the reason I am able to be out and free while I'm going through trial is due to my SOFA status. 2. This is a traumatic story to tell, whereas I think it's important to get it out, and my intuition has literally been egging me to get it out for an entire year. I'm finally doing it. Since I've started telling this story, I have already lost 4 pounds. I am reliving these events as I'm telling them. So relax. Like, I'm really going to start blocking people at this point. Before you try to make sense of what I was going through or not make sense of what I was going through, you need to look into narcissistic personality disorder. You need to look into what a narcissist is and what narcissists do. Yes, there were these glaring red flags throughout the relationship, but I'm not giving you the whole relationship. The entire relationship was not bad. Well, it was all bad, but like, it didn't feel all bad in the moments. I was completely tormented when I was with this man. And I did not realize until after the relationship was over, until after I had time to sit down, until I could go back into everything that was going on. If you asked me a year ago, were there any red flags before this happened? I would have told you no. I would have told you he completely did a 180 once we got to Korea. It wasn't until I had all of this time to sit with myself and to actually go back into the relationship and think about everything that happened that I realized I missed a lot. The narcissist, the menace, would not let me sleep. I could not have a full night of sleep with this person around. This man was getting me into sleep deprivation consistently. Imagine being drugged and not knowing it. Imagine going into sleep deprivation. There's clearly going to be a lot of things that you miss. When I got to the point where I'm like, yo, I need to do something, like everything's out of order. This is not how my life is. And I'm starting to like get back into like meditation, stretching and everything. The narcissist is interrupting. He was interrupting my meditation. He would not allow me to meditate. He would not allow me to stretch, and he would not allow me to journal in peace. He had to interrupt everything that I was doing for myself. And this is what narcissists do. They get you in a state of confusion. They get you in a state of confusion so that your reality no longer feels like your reality. So when you start questioning things, you start questioning yourself. Like, am I tripping? Am I the problem? Like, what is going on? So until you can grasp that and understand that, shut up. Like, shut up. No one needs your commentary, okay? Like, I understand that I missed a lot, but have you ever been tormented day in and day out and didn't realize that you were tormented until after the fact? Imagine being drugged and not knowing it. Imagine being tormented. Imagine not being able to sleep. Imagine being abused. Imagine going through mental abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse. There was way too much happening. Not too many people can say that they've been through that. Actually, there are a lot of people out here that can say that they've been through that. And that's why I'm getting this story out, because not a lot of people talk about this type of stuff, because yes, it is embarrassing. That's my part 9. Leave me alone. All right. Part 10 of the Menace saga. The marriage license. Remember this story because it's coming up later. So, as we get closer and closer to going to Korea, the Menace is very adamant about wanting to marry me. And in the beginning, it kind of made sense because it was like, unless we were married, he could not be in Korea beyond 3 months. But as I started thinking more and more about it, it was kind of like, outside of that, there's no other benefit. And what am I benefiting? For me, I've always told myself that marriage is more so a business. It's a business transaction. For me, that's just how I feel about it. Starting to look at it in a business way and not a, oh, I love you way. And I'm like, no. You're not getting half of my funds. No. So once again, I'm asking the Menace questions that I have already asked him. What's your credit score? What's in your financial background? Do you have any evictions? What's there? No, I don't have any of that. My credit score is good. Like, I have a great credit score. He does not have a great credit score, and he does have evictions in his background. Information I found out later. So also, I'm like, what is your criminal history? Is there anything in your criminal history that I need to know about? Even before, like, you were 18. Is there anything in there that I need to know about? I don't have anything in my criminal history. I've already told you that. Come to find out, after everything hit the fan in Korea, this man has been to court over 20-something times and has multiple charges, and most of them are drug related. Surprise. So this information was important for me to have because I have a security clearance. I cannot take on debt. I cannot have bad credit with a security clearance. And I can also not marry a felon or someone with a criminal history. I cannot be closely associated with a felon or someone with a criminal history. It was imperative that I knew that information, and he was aware that it was imperative that I knew that information, and he still held it from me. He knew that going against that information would cause me my job. And he still tried to move forward with the marriage. One day, I wake up and he's sitting on my couch and he's like, I applied for our marriage license. Like, aren't you happy? And I'm like, how? Like, huh? How? So I tell him in this moment that I am not marrying him. Like, I see no reason to marry him. One, like, I want a wedding. I want, like, the whole nine, baby. Like, I'm not eloping, period. So I said, we can go get the marriage license. I'm not signing it. You're not signing it. It will not be officiated. But if I feel like you are my person and within the 5 years of being in Korea, I want to marry you and we have a wedding abroad, then okay, we'll already have the license. Going and getting that marriage license is going to come back to bite me in the behind. And you guys will see that in a little bit. But anyway, I want to wrap this story up by saying that this man knew that marrying me would cost me my job. And he still was trying to marry me. His end goal, his plan was to always ruin my life, was to dismantle everything that I had built. Part 11. I realized I came into this story time like y'all are my friends and y'all personally know me, and that is my fault. Also, a lot of y'all have not been in the live, so y'all haven't been able to kind of get information that I haven't gotten to yet in the story time. So that's on y'all. But why I came to Korea. So In 2022, I made the decision that that would be my last year in Washington, D.C. I was living in Washington, D.C. That was my last year. I had been talking about it for over a year. When people said, are you going to renew your lease? Are you going to renew your lease? I was like, no. I don't know where life is taking me, but I'm getting up out of D.C. this year. So I applied for other jobs in other states and in Korea. Accepted into the jobs that I applied for, and I chose Korea. I chose Korea because I had always wanted to live abroad. That was just always a thing that I wanted to do, and that's why I chose Korea. Actually, the Menace was not coming with me to Korea. That was never a part of the original plan. The Menace was working for the mayor, and I was going off to other things, and that's where it was going to end. And the Menace lost his job for the mayor, so it just seemed like at the time, well, dang, things are lining up. Maybe it's just fate that you're able to come to Korea. I realize now that him losing his job was not fate for him to come to Korea. It was just a red flag for me to leave. So despite what the Menace has said or has told people, he never had a job in Korea. He had a little small job that paid probably 20, did not pay a lot annually. That was a teaching job online that he could have gotten anywhere in the world. He did not have to be in Korea. He could have been in Mexico and got that job. I found out later that the Menace told everyone pretty much that he knows, his friends and everything, that he was the one who got a government job in Korea and that I followed him here. That is not the truth. Menace told everyone that when he was leaving, that I stole everything from him. I stole his home because everything in Korea was his. That is not the truth. Menace followed me to Korea with no job. And the plan was for him to get a job on base because he was already working for the DC government for years. So I said, well, it'll be so easy for you to get a federal government job because you've already been working for DC government for years. As we know now, he was not working for DC government for years. He was only employed at the mayor's office for some months. So that is how I got to Korea. And that is a part of the destiny swapping. The Menace put me in his life path, facing felonies, and he went off to convince the world that my life was his. So for anybody who's watching this, who knows the Menace, you've been swindled and bamboozled. He did not have a government job in Korea. Okay? As we know now, he has a criminal history. So he was never going to be able to get a job on any military base in Korea. He knew that. I did not know that at the time. So to go back to the last part, why he could only stay here for 3 months is because he was here on a tourist visa. He was coming to Korea on a tourist visa. You can only stay here for a max of 3 months. You can travel out of the country and you can come back in, but there's only a certain amount of times that you can do that. So that's one of the reasons why he wanted to get married, so he could be able to stay in Korea as long as he wanted. There are other reasons for that marriage as well, but we will get to that when it comes. Part 12 of the Menace saga, the background check. According to the Menace, he was born and raised in Washington, D.C. He lived in Northeast D.C. all of his life. He drove me around his neighborhood, showed me where his cousins live, showed me where his dad lived, showed me where his whole happy family lived together in a house. Showed me the house he and his dad lived together, and it was only them, and there was a ramp built on the outside of the house. He said that ramp was built by the city because his dad was disabled. He drove me around to this liquor store and said that the original owner of that liquor store was pushed out by the neighborhood because he was messing with a 14-year-old. He showed me where he got shot as a teenager. He said he was walking to the store for his mother and got hit with a stray bullet when he was a teenager, and that's why his stomach looks the way that it does. He prided himself on moving from Washington, D.C. and going to college in Virginia. That was a big jump for him. He finally got out of the city and got out of Washington, D.C., and he thought it was just such a big jump that he was going to college in Virginia. After college, he moved his college girlfriend back to Washington, D.C. with him and his family, and he had to introduce her to everybody on the block so that they wouldn't mess with her because she was new to the neighborhood. All right. Come to find out, all of that information is false information. It is not true. He was not born nor raised in Washington, D.C. He never got shot, and he did not move his girlfriend from college to D.C. It's quite the opposite. Allegedly, she moved him to D.C. and she had to introduce him to the block so that they wouldn't bother him. Allegedly. The stomach issue was just a hernia. I got the story that he was shot. I've talked to other people. Some people said he had a hernia since he was a baby. Some people said he got a hernia while playing football in high school. No one knows how he got the hernia, but he has a hernia that wasn't taken care of, I guess. So yes, I did do a background check. I looked in all the wrong places. He told me that he lived in DC, and at some point he lived in PG County. So when I went to do my background check, that's where I looked. I don't know about y'all, but the only way I know how to do a background check is by going to the state and then going to the counties that that person has lived in. I don't have the database to just pull from every freaking state. If anybody does, let me know. So narcissists lie about the mundane things so that their past and their present don't collide. For my situation, the narcissist did not want me to find what was in his past and did not want me to find his criminal history. And that's where those lies came from. Part 13. This is the final backstory before segueing into Korea. This story is important because a lot of things from this story pops up later. This takes place a week before leaving for Korea. This is my going away party. Weeks before my going away party, I tell the menace, we have to do your hair. You look like Ish. We got to do your hair for this going away party. Like, you not, like, that's crazy. So he's consistently putting stuff off. Before the going away party, he told my mother that he was handling all the liquor. He was going to buy all the liquor for the going away party because he hadn't contributed anything to this up to this point. So he was going to handle all of the liquor. We're getting closer and closer to the going away party. I'm like, when are you going to get the liquor? When are you going to get the liquor? When are you going to get the liquor? He hasn't picked up the liquor. So then the morning of the going away party, I'm finally like, bro, you have to sit down. We have to do your hair. This is early in the morning too, like 5, 6 a.m. in the morning that I'm like, come on, like, let's get up, let's do your hair. He's fidgeting, he's moving around, like getting up, like will not sit down. A process that would take 30 minutes ended up taking like 3 hours. And he still did not get the liquor for the going away party. So now, before his hair is even finished and he's doing all this and we're going into 2 and 3 hours of doing hair, I'm like, bro, I'm about to leave. I'm going to Costco. Like, I haven't even showered. I haven't done anything for myself yet because you won't sit down. So I'm like, I'm out. He's like, you're not leaving this house until you're finished with my hair. I'm like, so I get out of the house. He's supposedly following me to Costco on his motorcycle. He gets to Costco. I'm already at Costco, and I'm shopping, and he's finally at Costco. Maybe like 30 minutes later, and he's like, I had this whole anxiety attack on my bike. You're giving me all this anxiety. You're giving me all this PTSD. You're treating me like my mom used to treat me. And I mean, just going in Costco, making this whole scene and making it all about him. I'm like, bro, I don't care. So he takes everything that I already have out the cart, and he's like, no, this isn't what we're getting. This isn't what we're getting. This isn't what we're getting. So I'm like, all right, fine. You go shopping then. I'm done at this point. Like, you go shopping. He starts picking up a whole bunch of snacks, chips, snacks, stupid stuff. My mom already took care of the food. So, no liquor. Your agreement was to get liquor. So he picks up all these snacks, purchases them on food stamps. So I'm putting the snacks all back in the Uber and all this stuff, and we get in the Uber, and he's arguing in the Uber. And I'm like, bro, I'm not about to do this. I'm not trying to argue with you with this nice lady in this Uber. Like, he's like, I had to take my motorcycle. I had to drop it off on the side of the road because you gave me all this anxiety, and I couldn't get all the way to Costco. So now she has to drop me off to my motorcycle. The motorcycle was low-key a little bit of a detour. And I'm like, this ain't really even on the way to Costco. How did motorcycle get over there if you was coming to Costco? So I get back to the house, and my friends and my family, they're coming down to get all the stuff out of the car, out of the Uber. He's not there. It's like 30, 45 hours till he even arrives. And so he comes up, and now I'm starting to introduce him to my friends, family, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, I'm not even dressed yet. I haven't even got dressed because this man just ruined the entire morning. So I'm trying to go downstairs and get dressed. And now people are coming in and out of my house, and I can't do anything. Like, this man gets dressed, finishes getting dressed before me, and goes up to my going away party without me. Do you know what he was wearing at my going away party? A hat, a beanie. All that, all morning to do his hair, and this man puts a hat over the hairstyle. And I'm like, I actually didn't even notice it. It was like, I think maybe my mom who noticed that later on. So I go up to the going away party. I I'm dressed. Didn't get to do anything that I wanted to do. Didn't have on makeup. Nothing. He's all done. And I can't even put on makeup. I don't even have enough time because everybody's like blowing up my phone, bugging the shit out of me to come upstairs to this going away party. I couldn't even get dressed. So I get upstairs. I don't know where he is. And I see his aunt. Mind you, he may have had like 4 or 5 people at this going away party. I had like upwards of 100. I see his aunt, and his aunt's like, where's the menace? Like, tell the menace to come up here to his party. And I'm like, taking a little bit aback, because I'm like, his party? I don't say nothing, I let it slide. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm a little tipsy by now anyway. So I do that. And everybody from this going away party is like giving me cards. Everybody's giving me cards. I didn't have any gifts. Everybody was giving me cards and giving me money. And I had one gift. So all of my cards went into this one bag with my gift. All right. That's going to come about later. After the going away party, everybody is like downstairs in my apartment. We're getting ready to go out. I can't find my cards that everyone gave me with their nice words and nice encouragement and money. I cannot find them anywhere, and I'm going off. This obviously completely ruins the end of the night, because I'm like, where's my shit? Where is it? And I'm starting to go through everybody's stuff. And y'all, when I tell y'all, I did not suspect this man. I did not suspect him. I really, truly didn't. I should have, but I did not. Now, a wedge is starting to be built between like me and my family, because I'm now cursing everybody out and telling everybody to get the hell out of my house, because who stole my stuff? And it ruins the last night that I've had with my family for now almost 2 years. This story is coming up later, so remember the details in it. So to sum this up, because I do want the lessons in the story, the narcissist works overtime to ruin every big event, every moment that you will have. They will ruin your graduation. They'll ruin your birthday. They'll ruin their birthday if you're the one who planned it. They ruin every single big event. Anything that's monumental in your life, they're going to ruin it. So if you got somebody that's doing that, you're probably dealing with a narcissist. Part 14 of the Menace saga, preparing for Korea. At this point, I did not want the Menace to come with me to Korea. I spoke to a few people about it, and kind of the generalization was like, well, I don't know if you really want to go over there by yourself. You're going to a whole new country. You're doing this alone. It'd be best if you had someone with you, someone there to protect you, blah, 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 blah. No one knew what I was going through with the Menace, and at this point, I really hadn't come to terms with everything I was going through either. I was sitting with myself and trying to figure out whether or not I was going to tell this man that I did not want him to come. I had this very eerie, gut-wrenching feeling that that was not a good idea. From what I know now, from what transpired when I did actually get to the point of leaving him, he would have tried to severely hurt me or unalive me for leaving him. He would have made sure that I did not go anywhere without him, whether it had been Korea or whether it had been down the street. So since the ball was already rolling, and y'all know that feeling when your heart drops when you think of something? That's the feeling I was getting when I was thinking about telling him he could not come. So since the ball was already rolling, I was kind of like, all right, what could happen? So in Korea, I had a representative. I had someone on the ground in Korea helping me through the process, getting my paperwork done, telling me everything I needed to know prior to coming to Korea. In this process, my paperwork got messed up, and we were kind of in like limbo as to whether or not I was going to be able to make it to Korea on the date set for me to make it. The Menace had already purchased his ticket, and yes, he purchased his own ticket. He purchased his ticket like a month before. So I'm scrambling, trying to get this paperwork corrected. You know, we're going back and forth, and we're at the point now where I'm in limbo, and I may not make it to Korea on the date that I was scheduled to make it. I may not make the same flight that the Menace had purchased prior. So we're now at the point where the Menace is possibly going into Korea by himself. So when you're moving to a different country, the government packs your entire house. They come and they do all the packing and they do all the moving and they put your stuff in shipping containers so they can ship it to the next country. So when we finally got the paperwork together, the moving company comes and everything is scrambled. Everything is last minute. Pretty much everything got expedited. And the moving company comes the day before I'm scheduled to leave for Korea. And my house finally gets packed. So now we are back on schedule to being on the same flight. So during this time, my representative is pretty much telling me everything that I need to know. I'm going over all these briefings, all reading all this stuff to get prepared to coming to Korea. Some of the stuff that's there is just what to bring, what not to bring, and make sure that you have at least 3 months supply of your medications. So the Menace and I are now heading to the flight. I don't sleep when I'm taking long flights the night before so that I can sleep well on a flight. So we get to the flight. We're cooling. I plug in my headphones. I'm starting to watch a movie. I'm falling in and out of sleep, waking up periodically. And something to note, the flights from DC to Korea are like 20 hours. So periodically, I think one time I woke up, I had asked the concierge if I could have a mini bottle, like something to drink. And she comes over and she looks at me and she looks at him. He's sleeping. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And she just has this, like, she's sincerely concerned look on her face. And I'm like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Okay." She comes back. She brings me a mini bottle. I said, "Okay." Another time, I'm up. The Menace is up at the same time, is awake at the same time. And we both ask her for a mini bottle. She looks at him, looks at me again with concern. And she's like, "No, I think you had enough." He goes back to sleep. And the flight attendant comes back and she brings me a mini bottle. I'm like, okay, that was really weird. We get off this flight and I see that he has something like all over his pants. He had gray sweatpants on and there was something all over his pants. And I'm like, "What is on your pants?" And he's like, "Oh my God, I was trying to wake you up and you wouldn't wake up. I was screaming. The flight attendant spilled coffee on me and I was like screaming and I was trying to like wake you up. And then she came back and she was like patting me down and doing all this stuff. And I was like literally on the flight screaming." And I'm like, "What? Like, huh?" And so I'm just like, "You really was on a flight where everyone's sleeping and you're screaming?" He's like, "Yeah, it was like burning me." Y'all, that did not happen. That did not happen. There's no way I would not have woken up if he was on a flight screaming. So I don't know what happened between he and the flight attendant. I don't know what happened while I was sleeping, but something happened. Y'all, this is the point of the story where I have to stop talking about this. I'm so sorry. I know that y'all want to know more, but this is the end of talking about this situation. I will come back and I will tell you all everything that transpired. I will, but y'all gotta wait. So also from what I know now, because y'all know I'm putting the lessons in the story, when we were at the point that we were having 2 different flights and I was working to make sure that we were on the same flight, I should not have done that. I believe that that was God's intervention and we should never have been on the same flight at all. So I'm gonna leave that there, and that's the end of this for now. Stick with me. The story gets better.